The blue marble of Earth hung peacefully in space, its surface dotted with twinkling city lights against the darkness. Inside the United Nations building in New York, President David Kim stared at the massive holographic display that had materialized in the center of the assembly hall. The image showed 12 different alien beings, each representing a different world in the Galactic Council. Their faces ranged from reptilian to insectoid, but they all shared one common expression: complete arrogance. Ambassador Veltar of the Thalarian Republic stepped forward in the hologram. His tall, thin frame and pale blue skin made him look like a walking skeleton wrapped in expensive robes. When he spoke, his voice carried the tone of someone addressing a disobedient child. "People of Earth," Veltar began, "this is your final warning. For too long you have refused to accept the wisdom of the Galactic Council. Your species shows dangerous signs of aggression and unpredictable behavior. Your technology advances too quickly without proper guidance. This cannot continue." President Kim exchanged a quick glance with Admiral Rebecca Stone, who stood beside him in her crisp military uniform. Stone's weathered face showed no emotion, but her eyes held a cold fire that spoke of years spent preparing for this moment. "You have 30 standard days," continued another council member, this one from the militaristic Kron Empire. General Mordak's insect-like features clicked and chittered as he spoke. "Surrender your military fleet. Accept protective custody. Status: allow Council peacekeepers to oversee your planet. Refuse and we will take corrective action." The other council members nodded in agreement. They had done this before with dozens of other worlds. In their minds, this was just another routine subjugation disguised as protection. They expected fear, panic, maybe some desperate bargaining. What they got instead made them pause. President Kim stepped forward with a calm smile. "Ambassador Veltar, General Mordak, honored council members, thank you for making your intentions so clear. Earth's response is simple and final." He paused, letting the silence stretch. "No." The word hung in the air like a thunderclap. Several council members leaned forward in surprise. No species had ever given such a direct refusal to their ultimatum. "Furthermore," Kim continued, "Earth formally rejects any authority the Galactic Council claims over human space or human affairs. We do not recognize your right to protect us, guide us, or make demands of us. We are a free and independent species, and we intend to remain that way." Veltar's pale skin flushed darker with anger. "You foolish creatures. Do you have any idea what you are refusing? The Council's protection is not optional. We offer guidance to primitive species for their own." "Good." Admiral Stone stepped forward now, her boots clicking sharply on the marble floor. "Primitive?" she asked with a slight smile. "Is that what you think we are? Your species barely achieved faster than light travel 50 years ago," General Mordak clicked dismissively. "You have no understanding of galactic politics or warfare. The Council has maintained peace for over 1,000 years by ensuring dangerous species are properly controlled." "Controlled," Stone repeated slowly. "Not protected. Controlled. Thank you for being honest about your real intentions, General." The council members began to look uncomfortable. They had expected fear and submission, not this calm defiance from what they considered a backward species. "You will regret this decision," Veltar warned, his voice rising. "The Council fleet numbers over 10,000 ships. We have weapons that can shatter planets. Your small fleet of primitive vessels cannot possibly stand against us, Wizardant." Kim nodded thoughtfully. "You know what, Ambassador? You might be right. Our fleet might not be enough." He paused and looked directly at Veltar through the hologram. "Good thing that's not all we have." Before the aliens could ask what he meant, Admiral Stone spoke a single word into her communication device: Omega. Across the Earth, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, red lights began flashing. Automated systems came online. Encrypted, messages flashed to outposts throughout human space. The word Omega triggered protocols that had been in development for over a decade. Dr. Alan Torres looked up from his work in the classified Terra Defense Initiative facility buried deep beneath the Colorado mountains. His computer screen showed incoming confirmation codes from facilities around the globe. Phase 1 of humanity's real defense plan was now active. "Sir," his assistant called out, "all stations report ready. The quantum mines are armed and positioned. The AI swarm networks are online. The orbital platforms have shed their camouflage." Torres nodded grimly. For 10 years, ever since Earth's intelligence network had first intercepted Council communications, humanity had been preparing for this moment. While the Council saw humans as primitive and unpredictable, they had completely underestimated humanity's greatest strength: the ability to plan, adapt, and prepare for the worst possible outcome. Back in the UN building, the Council members were growing more agitated by the second. They could sense something was wrong, but their arrogance prevented them from understanding what. "This is your last chance," Veltar snarled. "Submit now or face the consequences." Admiral Stone looked at her watch. By now, every human military installation in the solar system would be implementing Protocol Omega. Hidden weapon systems were powering up. Cloaked ships were moving into position. The trap that had been 10 years in the making was finally ready to spring. "Ambassador," Stone said quietly, "I think you're the one who should be worried about consequences. You see, we've been listening to your communications for quite some time. We know exactly what your council really does to the species it protects. We know about the slave colonies. We know about the resource extraction. We know about the species you've wiped out when they became too troublesome." The council chamber fell silent. Several members exchanged worried glances. "Impossible," Veltar whispered. "Our communications are encrypted with quantum encryption that our Dr. Torres cracked about 8 years ago." Stone interrupted. "Did you really think the species that went from horseback to spaceflight in less than a century wouldn't be able to figure out your technology?" President Kim stepped forward one final time. "The 30 days you've given us? We don't need them. Consider this Earth's formal declaration that we will not be controlled, protected, or guided by anyone. And if you try to force us..." He smiled coldly. "Well, you might want to ask yourselves why a supposedly primitive species would be so confident when facing a fleet of 10,000 ships." The hologram flickered and died as Earth cut the transmission. In the silence that followed, Admiral Stone activated another communication channel, this one reaching every human ship, station, and outpost in the galaxy. "All units, this is Admiral Stone. Protocol Omega is now active. The Council has made their intentions clear. 30 days from now, they will discover exactly what humanity is capable of when we stop pretending to be primitive. Stone out." As the communication ended, President Kim looked out the window at the peaceful Earth sky. Somewhere out there, the Council was mobilizing their massive fleet, confident in their overwhelming superiority. They had no idea that humanity's real fleet wasn't the few hundred ships they could see. It was the thousands of cloaked vessels, hidden bases, and secret weapons that had been waiting patiently for this moment. The Council thought they were dealing with a primitive species that had gotten lucky with space travel. In 30 days, they would learn the truth about humanity, and by then, it would be far too late. Deep beneath the Colorado mountains, the Terra Defense Initiative facility buzzed with activity like a disturbed anthill. Dr. Alan Torres moved through the corridors with quick, purposeful steps, while technicians and engineers rushed past him, carrying equipment and data tablets. The facility that had been hidden from the world for over a decade was finally revealing its true purpose. Torres pushed through the heavy blast doors into the main laboratory. The massive chamber stretched out before him, filled with technology that would make the Council's best scientists weep with envy. Along the walls, quantum computers hummed with impossible calculations. In the center of the room, holographic displays showed the real-time positions of every Council ship within 50 light-years of Earth. "Status report," Torres called out to his team. Dr. Emily Watson looked up from her workstation, her face flushed with excitement and exhaustion. "The quantum entangled mines are fully deployed, sir. 3,000 units positioned throughout the outer system. The Council fleet will never see them coming. Torres nodded with satisfaction. The mines were humanity's first surprise for their unwelcome visitors. Each device was the size of a baseball, but packed enough quantum explosives to crack a battleship in half. More importantly, they could phase in and out of normal space, making them impossible to detect with conventional sensors. "What about the AI fighters?" Torres asked. Lieutenant Commander Roy Harper gestured to another section of the lab, where hundreds of small, sleek craft hung from the ceiling like metallic bats. The swarm networks are online and learning. Each fighter contains an AI that can adapt to enemy tactics in real time. They share information instantly across the entire swarm, so every mistake the Council makes will be learned by all our units simultaneously. Torres smiled grimly. While the Council had been content to use the same battle tactics for 1,000 years, humanity had spent a decade developing weapons that could think, learn, and evolve during combat. Each AI fighter was individually weak, but together they formed a collective intelligence that grew smarter with every engagement. "Sir," called out another technician from across the room, "we're receiving telemetry from the orbital platforms. All systems are green." Torres walked over to look at the display. For 10 years, humanity had been secretly building and deploying weapons platforms throughout the solar system. To Council sensors, they looked like nothing more than space debris. Broken satellites, asteroid fragments, and cosmic junk. In reality, each piece of debris was a sophisticated weapons platform equipped with particle beams, missile launchers, and electronic warfare systems. The deception had been perfect. Council reconnaissance ships had passed within kilometers of the platforms without detecting them. Soon, those same ships would discover just how deadly Earth's garbage could be. While Torres coordinated the technical aspects of humanity's defense, Captain Maria Santos prepared for the more direct approach. Her modified destroyer, the Defiance, hung in space near Jupiter's moons, its hull gleaming with retrofitted alien technology. Santos walked through the ship's corridors, inspecting the improvements that had been made over the past 5 years. The walls hummed with energy conduits that had been reverse-engineered from captured Council equipment. The engine room contained a hybrid drive system that combined human engineering with alien science, creating something neither species could have built alone. "Captain," her first officer, Lieutenant Tom Bradley, called from the bridge, "we're receiving targeting data from Earth Command. Council supply convoys are moving through the Proxima system." Santos settled into her command chair. With the predatory grace of a hunting cat, the Defiance was the first of humanity's new strike ships. Vessels that looked like human destroyers from the outside but packed technology that would shock the Council's engineers. "Signal the rest of the strike force," Santos ordered. Time. To show our alien friends what reverse engineering can accomplish. The strike force consisted of 12 ships, each one a hybrid of human and Council technology. For years, Earth's intelligence network had been capturing Council equipment, studying it and improving upon it. While the aliens had grown complacent with their technological superiority, humans had been busy learning everything the Council thought they knew. The Defiance and her sister ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima system. Their targets were visible on the long-range sensors, a convoy of Council supply ships protected by 6 heavy cruisers. It should have been an impossible fight for such a small human force. Santos activated the ship's new cloaking system, a device that bent space-time around the vessel to make it invisible to both sensors and visual detection. One by one, the other human ships vanished from sight as they activated their own cloaking devices. "All ships, this is Santos," she broadcast on the encrypted command frequency. "Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth today. We're sending a message to every Council world. The age of human submission is over." The human ships moved through, space like ghosts, closing on the unsuspecting Council convoy. The alien crews had no idea they were about to become the first victims of humanity's real military capabilities. Back on Earth, President Kim stood in the White House Situation Room, watching the real-time tactical display. General Patricia Hayes, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, pointed to various symbols moving across the holographic map. "The Council is mobilizing exactly as we predicted, sir," Hayes reported. 10,000 ships from 12 different worlds, all converging on Earth. They expect to arrive in 28 days. Kim nodded slowly. And they have no idea what they're walking into. None whatsoever, sir. Our intelligence indicates they're treating this as a routine subjugation. They're not even bringing their best equipment or most experienced crews. They think we're primitives who will surrender after the first show of force. In the Proxima system, Captain Santos watched her tactical display as the human strike force closed on the Council convoy. The alien ships continued on their course, completely unaware of the predators stalking them through the void. Weapons range in 30 seconds, reported Bradley. Santos felt a cold satisfaction settle over her. For decades, humanity had been forced to watch from the shadows as the Council oppressed other species. Today, that changed. Today, humans stopped hiding and started fighting back. All ships, weapons free, she commanded. The space around the Council convoy suddenly erupted in fire and fury. 12 human ships decloaked simultaneously, their weapons already charged and targeted. Particle beams sliced through alien hulls like hot knives through butter. Quantum torpedoes phased through enemy shields as if they weren't even there. The Council cruisers tried to respond, but their weapons couldn't lock onto targets that flickered in and out of normal space. Human ships used dimensional drives to appear, fire, and vanish before return fire could reach them. The alien crews found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to violate the basic laws of physics. Within 10 minutes, the entire Council convoy was either destroyed or fleeing in panic. Not a single human ship had taken significant damage. Santos opened a communication channel to Earth Command. Admiral Stone, this is Captain Santos. First engagement is complete. Council forces neutralized with 0 friendly casualties. Stone's voice crackled back through the quantum communicator. Outstanding work, Captain. How did they react to our new toys? They seemed quite surprised, Admiral. I don't think they were expecting us to shoot back, let alone shoot through their shields. Torres watched the engagement from his underground facility, analyzing every second of combat data. The AI systems were already processing the information, learning from the battle and updating their tactical databases. By the time the Council's main fleet arrived, humanity's weapons would be even more effective. Doctor, called out Watson, we're detecting increased Council communication traffic. They're trying to figure out what happened to their convoy. Torres smiled coldly. Let them wonder. Every mystery would make them more paranoid, more likely to make mistakes. And when the real battle began, humanity would be ready to take advantage of every error the Council made. The secret was out now. Earth was no longer the primitive world the Council thought it was. The humans had been learning, preparing, and building in secret for over a decade. Now it was time to show the galaxy exactly what a supposedly backward species could accomplish when given proper motivation. The war for human freedom had officially begun, and the Council was about to discover they had seriously underestimated their opponents. The massive Council fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system, like a swarm of angry wasps. 10,000 ships of various sizes and configurations spread out in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with the confidence of 1,000 years of unopposed conquests. Admiral Veltar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive dreadnought Eternal Justice, and smiled with anticipation. Scan the system, he ordered his tactical officer. I want to know the position of every primitive human vessel. The Thalarian officer worked his console for several minutes, his pale features growing more confused with each passing second. Sir, sensors show approximately 300 human ships scattered throughout the system. They appear to be civilian transports, and a few military vessels of basic design. Veltar nodded with satisfaction. As expected, a pathetic response from a pathetic species. Signal all fleet commanders. We will destroy their military vessels first, then move on the planet itself. This should be over within a few hours. What? Veltar could not see were the thousands of cloaked human ships positioned throughout the solar system, like invisible sharks waiting to strike. Admiral Stone watched the Council fleets approach from her command ship, the Indomitable, hidden behind one of Jupiter's moons. Her tactical display showed the true scope of humanity's defensive network. weapons platforms disguised as asteroids, fighter swarms lurking in the shadows of planets, and strike ships ready to decloak at a moment's notice. "All units, this is Stone," she broadcast on the encrypted command frequency. "The Council has arrived exactly as predicted. Remember, we are not just defending Earth today. We are showing the entire galaxy that humanity will never be slaves to anyone." The Council fleet began its advance toward Earth, their formation perfect, and their confidence absolute. They had done this countless times before with other species. The pattern was always the same: overwhelming force, quick surrender, followed by decades of protective occupation. General Mordak commanded the Kron battle group from his carrier Swarm Mother. His insect-like features clicked with anticipation as he watched human ships begin to scatter before his advance. "Pathetic creatures," he chittered to his officers. "They flee like insects before the storm." What Mordak interpreted as retreat was actually humanity's opening move. The human ships weren't fleeing. They were moving into predetermined positions while the Council fleet walked directly into the trap that had been 10 years in the making. Dr. Torres monitored the battle from his underground facility, his fingers dancing over quantum computer controls that coordinated thousands of hidden weapon systems. "Phase 1, initiate," he commanded. Throughout the solar system, pieces of space debris began to shed their disguises. What looked like broken satellites and asteroid fragments suddenly revealed themselves as weapons platforms, bristling with particle cannons and missile launchers. The Council fleet found itself surrounded by guns they never saw coming. "Fire," Stone commanded. The space around the Council fleet erupted in coordinated destruction. Thousands of weapons platforms opened fire simultaneously, their targeting linked by quantum computers that calculated firing solutions faster than any biological mind could comprehend. Council ships that had seemed invulnerable suddenly found their shields overloaded and their hulls breached. But the real surprise came next. Captain Santos and her strike force decloaked directly in the middle of the Council formation, their hybrid ships materializing like ghosts given form. The human vessels moved with impossible grace, their dimensional drives allowing them to appear, strike, and vanish before enemy weapons could track them. "What sorcery is this?" Veltar demanded as his flagship shuddered under impact from weapons that seemed to fire from empty space. "How are they penetrating our shields?" His tactical officer's hands shook as he tried to make sense of the sensor readings. "Sir, their weapons appear to be phased to bypass our shield frequencies. It's as if they know exactly how our defenses work." They did know, of course. For years, human intelligence had been capturing and analyzing Council technology. Dr. Torres and his team had not only reverse-engineered alien equipment, but improved upon it, creating weapon systems that turned the Council's own technological advantages against them. The AI fighter swarms launched next, thousands of small craft that moved with the coordination of a single mind. Each fighter was individually weak, but together they formed a collective intelligence that adapted to enemy tactics in real time. When Council point defense systems adjusted to target the fighters, the swarm immediately modified its attack patterns. When alien ships tried to jam their communications, the AI switched to backup frequencies faster than organic minds could follow. General Mordak watched in horror as his battle group was torn apart by enemies that seemed to anticipate his every move. "Impossible," he chittered. "No species has ever developed such technology." A human voice crackled over the open communication channel, calm and professional despite the chaos of battle. "General, this is Captain Santos of the Earth Defense Force. You might want to reconsider your assessment of human capabilities." Santos's ship, the Defiance, materialized directly in front of Mordak's carrier. The human vessel should have been dwarfed by the massive alien ship, but somehow it radiated a deadly presence that made the Council General's carapace shiver with fear. "Your fleet is surrounded and outgunned," Santos continued. "I'm giving you one chance to surrender. Take it or join the wreckage of your advanced scouts." Mordak's pride overrode his fear. "Never. The Kron Empire does not yield to primitives." Santos's response was swift and devastating. The Defiance's main weapon, a particle cannon enhanced with quantum technology, punched through the carrier's shields and hull like they were made of paper. The massive alien ship began to break apart, its sections spinning away into the void. "All Council vessels," Santos broadcast. "You have 60 seconds to power down weapons and prepare to be boarded. Anyone who refuses will share the Swarm Mother's fate." Throughout the battle zone, Council ships began to surrender. Their crews had never faced an enemy that combined human tactical flexibility with superior technology. The aliens had grown complacent over centuries of easy victories, while humanity had spent every day since first contact preparing for war. Admiral Veltar stood on his damaged bridge, watching his mighty fleet being systematically destroyed by an enemy he had dismissed as primitive. His communication officer looked up with desperation in his pale eyes. "Sir, we're receiving surrender requests from over half our fleet. The rest are either destroyed or fleeing the system." Veltar's worldview crumbled around him. The Galactic Council had ruled for 1,000 years through technological superiority and overwhelming force. Now a species they considered barely above animals had not only matched their technology but surpassed it. "How?" he whispered. "How is this possible?" Admiral Stone's voice answered him over the communication channel, calm and implacable. "Ambassador, you made the same mistake that bullies always make. You underestimated your victims. While you grew fat and lazy on the fruits of conquest, we spent every day learning how to destroy you." The battle was over within 4 hours. The mighty Council fleet that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries lay in ruins throughout Earth's solar system. Less than 2,000 alien ships escaped to carry news of the disaster back to their homeworlds. Dr. Torres reviewed the battle, data in his underground facility, a grim smile on his face. The AI systems had performed flawlessly, learning and adapting throughout the engagement. Human casualties were minimal, while Council losses were catastrophic. "Phase 2? Asked his assistant. Torres nodded. "Signal Captain Santos. It's time to take the war to them." The Council had thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would bow before superior force. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, a race that refused to be conquered and possessed the intelligence and determination to turn the tables on their would-be oppressors. The age of Council dominance was ending. The age of human liberation had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Galaxy Broadcasting Network transmitted across every inhabited world in known space, reaching billions of beings who had never heard an unauthorized message in their lifetimes. On planets where Council sensors controlled all information, emergency transmitters hidden by human agents suddenly activated. In slave colonies where rebellion had been crushed generations ago, workers gathered around secret receivers as humanity's message spread like wildfire through the stars. Admiral Stone stood in the broadcast center aboard the Indomitable, her uniform crisp and her expression resolute. Behind her, holographic displays showed the wreckage of the Council fleet floating through Earth's solar system, a testament to what one determined species could accomplish when pushed too far. "Citizens of the galaxy," Stone began, her voice carrying to worlds that had never heard truth spoken so boldly. "My name is Admiral Rebecca Stone of the Earth Defense Force. Today, the Terran species formally rejects the authority of the Galactic Council and everything it represents." On the Council homeworld of Thalaria Prime, Ambassador Veltar sat in emergency session with the surviving members of the ruling body. His pale skin had turned almost gray with shock as he watched the human broadcast. Around the Council chamber, representatives from 12 species fidgeted nervously, their confidence shattered along with their fleet. "For too long," Stone continued, "the Council has hidden behind lies of protection and guidance. We know the truth. We have seen your slave colonies. We have documented your resource extraction operations. We have recorded the extinction of species that dared to resist your rule." She gestured to the displays behind her, which now showed images that made several Council members recoil in horror. Pictures of strip-mined worlds, populations forced into labor camps, entire civilizations ground to dust under the Council's iron fist. "The Human Intelligence Network has been operating in Council space for over a decade," Stone revealed. "Agent, Lisa Chen and her teams have infiltrated your governments, your military, your communications networks. Every crime, every atrocity, every act of oppression has been documented and preserved. On the mining world of Kepler-7, thousands of enslaved Zentari workers stopped their digging to listen to the broadcast. For 3 generations, they had toiled in the deep mines, their freedom traded away by council protection treaties. Now, for the first time, someone was speaking truth to their oppressors. Chen herself watched the broadcast from her hidden base on the council world of New Rigel. Around her, teams of human operatives prepared to activate the next phase of their plan. For years, they had been building resistance networks, smuggling weapons, and preparing for this moment when humanity would openly challenge council authority. But we are not content with merely revealing the truth, Stone continued. Today, Earth announces the formation of the Terran Alliance, a coalition of free worlds dedicated to ending council oppression forever. Any species, any world, any people who choose freedom over slavery are welcome to join us. President Kim stepped into the camera view, his presence adding diplomatic weight to Stone's military authority. The age of council rule is ending. He declared, "No longer will advanced species be allowed to dominate primitive ones. No longer will protection be a mask for conquest. The galaxy belongs to all its children, not just the strong." In the depths of space, Captain Santos received her new orders with grim satisfaction. The Defiance and her sister ships had been resupplied and reinforced with fresh crews and additional hybrid technology. Their next mission would take them far from Earth to worlds that had suffered under council rule for centuries. "All ships, this is Santos," she broadcast to her expanded fleet. "Our target is the Vega system, 3 council slave colonies producing rare minerals for their war machine. Intel reports over 2 million beings in forced labor. Time to set some people free." The Liberation Fleet consisted of 50 ships, each one a masterpiece of human engineering enhanced with captured alien technology. They moved through hyperspace like vengeful angels, carrying hope to worlds that had forgotten what freedom meant. Back on Earth, Dr. Torres coordinated the most ambitious intelligence operation in human history. His quantum computers processed real-time data from hundreds of human agents scattered throughout council space. The network that had been built in secret over 10 years was now fully active, coordinating resistance movements on dozens of worlds. "Status report," Torres called out to his team. Engineer Tom Bradley looked up from his workstation, his face glowing with the light of multiple displays. "Quantum communicators are active on 43 council worlds. Resistance cells are reporting in from mining colonies, agricultural planets, and industrial centers. The natives are definitely restless, sir." The quantum communicators were humanity's gift to the oppressed peoples of the galaxy. Unlike traditional faster-than-light communication, these devices used quantum entanglement to provide instant communication across any distance. Council sensors couldn't block them, couldn't trace them, and couldn't stop them. On the agricultural world of Harvest Prime, the native Solani people received their first quantum communicator from a human agent who had posed as a council inspector for 2 years. The device was small enough to hide in a farmer's tool shed, but powerful enough to coordinate planet-wide resistance. Elder Tamrin of the Solani held the device with trembling hands. His people had been forced to grow food for council worlds while their own children starved. Now finally they had a chance to fight back. "This is Harvest Prime calling Terra," he whispered into the communicator. "We are ready to be free." Similar messages flooded in from across the galaxy. Species that had been conquered, enslaved, or protected by the Council suddenly found themselves connected to a network of resistance that spanned the stars. Humanity had not only defeated the Council militarily, but had given the oppressed peoples the tools they needed to liberate themselves. Admiral Stone continued her broadcast, her words carrying hope to worlds that had known only despair. "The Council will tell you that we are terrorists, that we are dangerous, that we threaten galactic peace. They are right. We do threaten their peace. The peace of the grave, the peace of chains, the peace of submission. We offer you something better. The chaos of freedom, the uncertainty of choice, the beautiful mess of self-determination. In the Vega system, Captain Santos's Liberation fleet dropped out of hyperspace above Vega 3, a world where the native Morali had been forced to mine rare crystals for Council technology. The planet's surface was scarred with open pits and industrial complexes, its natural beauty destroyed by centuries of exploitation. All ships, begin Liberation Protocol, Santos commanded. Priority targets are the guard towers, communications, centers, and administrative buildings. Avoid civilian areas and mining operations where possible. Our goal is to free these people, not add to their suffering. The human ships moved with practiced precision, their weapons surgically removing Council control infrastructure while leaving the enslaved populations unharmed. Within hours, the planet's oppressors were either dead, captured, or fleeing for their lives. On the surface, millions of Morali emerged from their underground warrens to see the sky free of Council ships for the first time in living memory. Their crystalline faces reflected the light of human vessels as Santos broadcast the message of liberation. "People of Vega 3, she announced, you are now free. The Terran Alliance claims no authority over you, demands no tribute, and asks nothing except that you remember this day. What you do with your freedom is entirely up to you." The same scene played out across 3 worlds simultaneously as human liberation fleets struck at the heart of Council power. Each victory was broadcast across the quantum network, inspiring other worlds to rise up against their oppressors. President Kim concluded the galactic broadcast with words that would echo through history. "To the peoples of the galaxy, we say, this, freedom is not something that can be given or taken away. It is something that must be claimed and defended. Today, Earth stands ready to help you claim what is rightfully yours. The age of submission is over. The age of liberation has begun." As the broadcast ended, the quantum communication network exploded with activity. Resistance movements on dozens of worlds began coordinating their efforts. Slave colonies started planning escapes. Even some Council member species began questioning their government's authority. The Galactic Council, which had ruled through fear and superior technology for 1,000 years, suddenly found itself facing something it had never encountered before: a united resistance backed by superior human technology and determination. The empire they had built was beginning to crack, and through those cracks, the light of freedom began to shine. The once mighty Council chamber on Thalaria Prime had become a monument to broken dreams and shattered pride. Where 12 proud species had once ruled a galaxy with absolute authority, now only 7 nervous ambassadors remained. The others had either fled to their home worlds or been overthrown by their own people who had grown tired of losing wars to supposedly primitive humans. Ambassador Veltar stood before a holographic display that showed the current state of Council territory. Red zones marked worlds that had openly rebelled. Yellow indicated areas where human liberation fleets operated freely. Green showed the few remaining loyal systems, and there wasn't much green left on the map. 6 months, Veltar said to the nearly empty chamber. In 6 months, these humans have dismantled an empire that took us 1,000 years to build. The remaining Council members sat in uncomfortable silence. Their mighty fleets had been scattered to the solar winds. Their slave worlds had risen in rebellion. Most humiliating of all, even some of their own member species had begun questioning the wisdom of continuing a war they clearly could not win. General Mordak was notably absent from the chamber. His homeworld of Krone Prime had been quarantined by human forces after he refused to accept the reality of Council defeat. The entire Krone system now served as a living example of what happened to species that continued to threaten human allies. No ships entered or left Krone space, and their once proud military sat trapped on their own worlds, powerless to strike back. The chamber doors opened with a soft hiss, and every remaining Council member turned to see Admiral Rebecca Stone enter with a small escort of human Marines. She walked with the confidence of someone who had already won, her uniform crisp and her expression calm. Behind her came President Kim and Dr. Torres, representing the diplomatic and scientific might of humanity. "Gentlemen," Stone said as she approached the Council table, I believe you requested this meeting. Veltar straightened his robes and tried to summon what remained of his dignity. Admiral Stone, President Kim, we have come to discuss terms. Terms? Kim asked with raised eyebrows. I was under the impression you were here to surrender unconditionally. The words hit the council members like physical blows. For 1,000 years, they had been the ones dictating terms to defeated enemies. Now the tables had turned completely. The council is prepared to negotiate an end to hostilities, Veltar said carefully. Surely we can find a solution that benefits both our peoples. Dr. Torres stepped forward, his tablet displaying data that made several council members flinch. Ambassador, let me save us all some time. Over the past 6 months, the Terran Alliance has liberated 137 worlds from Council control. 43 species have joined the Alliance as free and equal members. Your remaining military forces number less than 2,000 ships scattered across 7 systems. He swiped to the next screen. Meanwhile, Alliance forces now number over 8,000 ships with hybrid technology superior to anything you possess. Our quantum communication network connects over 200 worlds. Our AI defense systems learn from every engagement, making them more effective with each battle. Stone nodded toward the holographic display showing Council territory. The numbers don't lie, Ambassador, you've already lost. The only question now is whether you want to surrender with dignity or continue fighting a war that can only end in your complete destruction. On the liberated world of New Kepler, Captain Santos stood in the central square of what had once been a slave colony. Around her, thousands of freed Zentari celebrated their first Independence Day. Their gray skin showed healthy color for the first time in generations, and their large eyes sparkled with hope instead of despair. Elder Crintal, the oldest surviving Zentari on the planet, approached Santos with careful steps. His species had been enslaved for so long that many had forgotten what freedom even meant. Captain Santos, he said in broken standard, we want to thank your people. But we must ask, what do you want from us in return? Santos smiled warmly. Elder, we want nothing except for you to be free to choose your own path. If you want to trade with us, we're happy to trade as equals. If you want to join the Alliance, you're welcome. If you want to be left alone to rebuild your civilization, that's fine too. Your freedom belongs to you, not to us. The concept was so alien to the Zentari that many of them struggled to understand it. For 300 years they had been told what to do, when to work, how to live. The idea that they could make their own choices was both terrifying and wonderful. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy as human liberation fleets continued their work. Each freed world was offered the same choice: join the Alliance, remain independent, or simply be left alone to determine their own future. The contrast with Council methods could not have been starker. Back in the Council chamber, Veltar made one last desperate attempt to salvage something from the wreckage of his empire. Surely you understand that the galaxy needs order. Without the Council, there will be chaos, wars between species, resource conflicts, technological disasters. President Kim leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. You know what, Ambassador? You might be right. There probably will be chaos. There will definitely be conflicts and problems we can't foresee. Freedom is messy like that. He stood and walked to the holographic display, gesturing to the red zones. That marked liberated worlds. But here's the thing about chaos, it's honest. When people fight, it's for things they actually care about. When they make mistakes, they learn from them. When they succeed, they earn it. Kim turned back to face the Council members. Your order was built on lies, slavery, and fear. Our chaos is built on truth, freedom, and hope. I know which one I prefer. Admiral Stone placed a data tablet on the Council table. These are the terms of surrender. All Council military forces will be disbanded. All slave worlds will be granted immediate independence. All species currently under Council protection will be given the choice to remain independent or join the Alliance as equals. She paused, letting the weight of defeat settle on the alien representatives. The Council itself will be dissolved. You can return to your home worlds, and try to rebuild your societies as free members of the galactic community. Those who accept these terms will be welcomed back into civilized society. Those who refuse..." She gestured toward another display that showed the quarantined Kron system. "Well, you can ask General Mordak how that's working out for him." Dr. Torres added the final touch to humanity's victory. "We're also releasing all the intelligence data we've collected on council crimes to the galactic media networks. Every species will know exactly what was done in their name. How you deal with that knowledge is up to you." One by one, the remaining Council members signed the surrender documents. Some wept openly as they signed away their species' galactic dominance. Others seemed almost relieved to finally be free of the burden of empire. When it was done, Veltar looked up at Admiral Stone with genuine curiosity. "Tell me, Admiral, what will you humans do now? You have the power to rule the galaxy yourselves. Why choose not to use it?" Stone considered the question carefully. "Because we remember what it felt like to be the ones threatened with conquest. We know what it's like to face a superior force and refuse to bow down. We won't become the thing we fought against." 6 months later, Captain Santos stood on the observation deck of her ship as it traveled through the Outer Rim territories. Her mission had changed from liberation to exploration. With the Council threat ended, humanity was free to explore the galaxy and meet new species as friends rather than potential threats. Her communication console chimed with an incoming message from Earth Command. Admiral Stone's face appeared on the screen, looking tired but satisfied. "Maria, we're getting reports of a new species discovered in the Andromeda Spiral. They've achieved faster-than-light travel and are trying to make contact with galactic civilization. Think you'd be interested in playing ambassador?" Santos grinned. "Any sign they might be another Council-type organization?" "Negative. Initial reports suggest they're genuinely peaceful. They've been broadcasting mathematical theorems and artistic expressions. No demands, no threats, no claims of superiority." "Sounds perfect, Admiral. After dealing with would-be galactic conquerors, it'll be nice to meet someone who just wants to say hello." As Santos's ship changed course toward the new contact, she reflected on how much the galaxy had changed in just over a year. The Terran Alliance now included over 300 worlds, each one free to choose its own path while cooperating with others for mutual benefit. Trade flowed freely between species. Scientific knowledge was shared openly. Cultural exchange. Programs brought beings together who had never been allowed to meet under Council rule. It wasn't perfect. There were still conflicts and problems, but it was honest progress built on voluntary cooperation rather than imposed order. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of galactic freedom had begun, and humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't superior technology or military might. It was the simple but revolutionary idea that all species, no matter how young or old, how weak or strong, deserved the right to determine their own destiny. The stars belonged to everyone now, and the future was whatever the children of the galaxy chose to make it.